Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Khilda Iqmaulia. I want to presentation about my research about the effect of emotional intelligence and work environment on job satisfactions in state vocational school teachers in the East Jakarta region. Chapter 1. The ground of the problem. The results of the 2080 program for international student assessment or PISA in the reading ability category, Indonesia was ranked 74th out of 79 countries, while for the assessment of mathematics and science abilities, Indonesia was ranked 73rd and 71st of the 79 PISA participating countries. For a nation to improve the quality of its education is very dependent on the quality of its teachers. The educational process will certainly run optimally if the teacher is a source of educators for students has high enthusiasm and job satisfaction for their profession. Teacher job satisfaction is a positive or happy feeling that arises in a person in carrying out his work as a teacher. With the fulfillment of teacher job satisfaction, it will increase the performance of the teacher to the maximum and will make it easier for school to achieve their goals, on one of which is to improve the quality of education in Indonesia. When conducting teaching skills practice or PKM at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta, researchers conducted interviews with teachers there. They said that several times they felt dissatisfied with their work. Therefore, the researchers conducted a research in 6 other vocational schools in East Jakarta to find out whether there were problems with job satisfaction similar to where the researchers carried out PKM activities. The research was filled out by 31 teacher respondents. The highest factor is intelligent manage emotions or mood in work that is not good, or it's called emotional intelligence, and uncomfortable work or social environment, or it's called work environment in school. That's why the researcher take a title of this research is the effect of emotional intelligence and the work environment on job satisfactions in state vocational school teachers in the East Jakarta region. Next, formulation of the problem. Point 1. Is there an influence of emotional intelligence on job satisfaction in state vocational high school teachers in the East Jakarta region? And point 2. Is there an influence of the work environment and job satisfaction in state vocational high school teachers in the East Jakarta region? And then the third point is there influence of emotional intelligence and work environment on job satisfactions in state vocational high school teachers in the East region? And then the research novelty. 1. Thomas, Susanna Trump, and Linda O'Hara in 2006, with the title is Relation of Employee and Manager Emotional Intelligence to Job Satisfaction and Performance. The difference in this research conducted by researchers with professional research lies in the subjects studied and difference in indicators of emotional intelligence. And then the second is Suharto Prawiro Sumarto, Purwanto Katijan Bachelor, and Rahmat Gunawan at 2016. The effect of work environment, leadership style, and organizational culture towards job satisfaction and its implication towards employee performance in Parador Hotels and Research Indonesia. The difference in the research conducted by the researcher with the previous research lies in the sample technique, namely proportional stratified sampling, and on the research subject and indicators of the work environment. And then the third is from Auful Amshari, Usman Radiana, and Aswandi at 2019. The influence of emotional intelligence and school environment on teacher job satisfaction at SMKN in Suprayon 1 at Sambas Regency. The difference in this research conducted by researchers with previous research lies and the object of research and difference in job satisfaction indicators. And then chapter 2, theory background of job satisfaction. According Syed Hussein Musafi et al., job satisfaction is defined as a pleasurable emotional state of assessing one's job or experience. And then, according Abdul Qadir Muhammad Masum et al., job satisfaction is defined as the emotional status and attitude of an employee towards this work. And then, according Judge and Kamayer Muller, job satisfaction is an evaluative state that express satisfaction and positive feelings about one's job. So it can be concluded that job satisfaction is a person's emotional state where he feels happy with the work he does. Theory background of emotional intelligence. According Bobby Windura, emotional intelligence refers to the ability to recognize our own feelings and those of others, the ability to motivate ourselves and ability to manage emotions well in ourselves and relationships with others. And then according Wahyudi, emotional intelligence is more emphasized on abilities in the field of emotions, namely the ability to deal with frustrations, the ability to control emotions and enthusiasm, and the ability to establish relationship with others. And then according to Carmichael, emotional intelligence is a specific process of information intelligence which includes the ability to generate and express one's own emotions to others, emotion regulations or controlling, and the use of emotions to achieve goals. The theory background of work environment. According Bobby Windura, the work environment is everything that is around the workers and that can affect them in carrying out the tasks that are carried out or their responsibilities. And then according Sudarmayanti, the work environment is the overall tools and materials encountered, the surrounding environment in which a person works, his work methods and work arrangement both as individuals as a groups. And then according Suharno Pawiro Sumarto et al., the work environment is a place where employees carry out their activities, which can bring positive and negative impacts for employees to achieve the expected result. Relevant research result. The researchers is Auful Amshari, Usman Radiana, and Aswandi, with title The Influence of Emotional Intelligence and School Environment on Teacher Job Satisfaction at SMKN in Suprayon 1 at Sambas Regency. And then Sumarni Hadi Sunaryo and M. Khairul Abbas with title The Influence of Organizational Culture, Work Environment, and Emotional Intelligence on Teacher Job Satisfaction at SMKN 1 Manggalewa, Kabupaten Dompu. And then the last researcher is from Taidi Vaitanova with title The Influence of Work Environment, Emotional Intelligence, Organizational Culture, and Work Motivation on Job Satisfaction. Study on Leathercraft, Yogyakarta. And then next, theoretical framework. According Thomas S.Y., revealed in his research that employees with high emotional intelligence tend to have higher levels of job satisfaction because they are more proficient in assessing and regulating their own emotion than employees with low emotional intelligence. According to Mangkunegara, in his research, the work environment is all physical aspects of work, psychological work and workplace regulations that can affect job satisfaction and increase productivity. And then the last, according to Teddy Vaitanova, in his research, it is said that the work environment is the element around employees that have a direct and indirect impact on employee performance, as well as emotional intelligence as a person's ability to manage and control the emotions of himself and others around him. But of these things can affect the level of job satisfaction of an employee. Researchers' hypothesis. The first hypothesis is there is a positive influence between emotional intelligence and job satisfaction. And then the second hypothesis is there is a positive influence between the work environment and job satisfaction. And then the third hypothesis is there is a simultaneous influence between emotional intelligence and work environment on job satisfaction. Next, chapter 3, research, time, and place. This research was conducted from November 2021 to April 2022. The time was chosen because it is considered an effective time for researchers and the schools that provide opportunities to conduct research. And then this research was conducted in 13 state vocational high schools located in the East Jakarta region, and accreditation the school is A. Next, research design. This study uses a quantitative approach, and then the variables used this study were 2 independent variables and 1 independent variable: emotional intelligence and work environment as independent variable, and then job satisfaction as dependent variables. Population and sample. The populations of this study were all state vocational high school teachers in the East Jakarta region, namely 21 schools with a total of 876 teachers. Of the entire population, the number of eligible population is 13 schools that have A accreditations with a total of 650 teachers. And then sampling in this study used a purposive sampling technique because there are characteristics in determining the subject of this study, namely the teachers of state vocational schools in East Jakarta whose schools are accredited with A. To calculate the number of samples using the ISAT and Michael table with a traffic error of 5% and a population of 650 respondents, it can be determined that the research sample is 227. Next, development of job satisfaction instrument. The conceptual definition: job satisfaction is a positive and emotional attitude of someone who is happy with the work or work experience he is engaged in. Because in this study, using the teacher job satisfaction variable, it can be seen job satisfaction as long as someone works as a teacher whose job is to teach and educate students at school. The indicator, the item drop in this test items, there are 1 item drops, which number is item of 2. Next, emotional intelligence instrument development. The conceptual definition: emotional intelligence is a form of human ability to manage their emotions, to be able to understand and control themselves and their relationships with others. And then the item drops in this, there are no item drops in this test item for respondent. Next, development of work environment instrument. Conceptual definition: the work environment is everything around the workplace, whether it is physical such as work support equipment or non-physical such as relationships between employees and with superior, that can have an influence on whether or not someone is comfortable at work. And then there are 2 drop items, which number is item of 8 and 12. Data collection technique. The data collection technique used in this research in the distributions of questionnaires to the teachers of State Vocational High School in the East Jakarta region. Furthermore, the measurement used is using a Likert scale, namely by responding to several statements by providing 5 levels of choices, including strongly agree, hesitate, disagree, and strongly disagree. Data analysis technique. Data analysis technique using SPSS 25.0 software. Chapter 4. Job satisfactions data descriptions. This is a picture of histogram diagram of job satisfactions. And then this is average calculate job satisfaction score. And then the next, descriptions of emotional intelligence data. This is histogram diagram of emotional intelligence. And then this is average emotional intelligence score. And then the last one is description of emotional work environment data. And then this is picture of histogram diagram of work environment. And then this is calculate average work environment score. Next is normality test. The data has a significance greater than 0.05. It can be concluded that the data is normally distributed. The probability plot normality test. The data follows the directions of the diagonal line and around the diagonal line. It can be concluded that the data is normally distributed and accordance with the criteria for testing the normal probability plot, and further analysis can be for performance. Linearity test variable x1 with y. Linearity value of 0.000 greater than 0.05, which means that the variable of emotional intelligence and job satisfactions have a linear relationships. And then next, linearity test variable x2 with y. Linearity value is 0.000 greater than 0.05, which means that the work environment and job satisfactions variables have a linear relationships. And then next is multicollinearity test. The tolerance value is 0.922 greater than 0.10, and the VIF value is 1.079 lower than 10. This indicates that there is no multicollinearity symptom in the regression model of this study. And then heteroscedasticity test. The significant value of emotional intelligence is 0.639 and 36, and the significance value of the work environment is 0.386. Because the significance value is more than 0.05, it can be concluded that in the variable regression model there is no heteroscedasticity problem. And then next, multiple regression test. The regression coefficient of the emotional intelligence variable is 0.639, which means that if there is an increase in the emotional intelligence variable by 1 unit, it will cause an increase in the job satisfactions variable of 0.639 units, assuming the value of x2 is fixed. The regression coefficient for work environment variable is 0.101, which means that there is an increase in the work environment variable by 1 unit. It will cause an increase in the work environment variable of 0.101 units, assuming the value of x1 is fixed. And then next, F test. The value of F table is obtained from table F with a significance level of 0.05. Then the F table value is 3.05. Do the calculate of F value of 112.774 greater than 3.04, it can be concluded that the emotional intelligence and work environment variables are simultaneously related to the job satisfaction variable. And then the t-test. T-count for emotional intelligence variable is 13.575 greater than 1.972. T-count for the variable work environment is 2.505 greater than 1.972. So it can be concluded that the two variables have a partial effect on job satisfaction. And then the last one in chapter 4 is determination coefficient. The percentage of the contribution of emotional intelligence and work environment to explain the variable job satisfaction simultaneously is 50.2%, while the remaining 49.8% is influenced by other variables not examined in this study. Chapter 5. The conclusion. First, there is a positive and significant relationship between emotional intelligence and job satisfaction variable. It can be seen from the T-count value of 13.575 greater than the table of 1.972. The second point is there is a positive and significant relationship between the work environment variable and job satisfaction. It can be seen from the T-count value of 2.505 greater than the table of 1.972. And then the third point of conclusion is there is a simultaneous relationship between emotional intelligence and work environment variables on job satisfaction. It can be seen from the calculated F value of 112.774 greater than F table of 3.04, with the regression equation obtained is 31.459 plus 0.639 x1 plus 0.101 x4 x2. And then next, the implications. Point 1. The results of this study indicate that there are problems regarding job satisfaction experienced by teachers in several state fictional schools in East Jakarta region. The lower the level of teacher emotional intelligence and the less supportive work environment at school, the lower then the level of teacher job satisfaction will also be. And then second point is on the emotional intelligence variable, the indicator with the highest percentage is self-awareness or emotional assessment of 35%, where the statement with the highest score in is I easily give up when faced with challenge because I believe I will fail. And then the third point is then on the work environment variable, the indicator with the highest percentage value is lighting at 32.5%, where the statement with the highest score is I feel direct light from the lamp can help work. And then the fourth point of implication is furthermore on the job satisfaction variable, the indicator with the highest percentage value is promotion of 22 0.8%, where the statement with the highest score is in my school performance is one of the important factors for career or position promotion. Limitations of the research. The first point is the independent variables related to job satisfaction in this study only discussed two variables, namely emotional intelligence and work environment. And then the second is the technique of collecting data through Google Forms is that sometimes the respondents' answer do not match the actual context due to the difficulty of communicating how to fill out the questionnaire one by one to the respondent. The last one in chapter 5 is recommendation for next researcher. Based on the results of various analytical tests in this study, it is known that there are 49.8% of other factors that can affect job satisfaction variable. The researchers recommends that further researchers can examine other factors as independent variables that can affect job satisfaction. And then the second point is, if the next researcher want to do research on the same topic, then he should add a research method with the interview method to several respondents, so that it can be used as supporting data and more data can be obtained. And then the third point is, future researchers are expected to be able to use other analytical techniques so as to provide a broader picture of their research. Okay, thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.